It's my privilege and pleasure to be addressing you today. I hope that my voice is clear. I will record the presentation and make it available afterwards in case you want to refer again. So, here we go.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes.
We can hear you. Your voice is clear enough.
Okay. All right. So, this is a very brief talk. So, I will talk about these two aspects of artificial intelligence, tools and algorithms. Mostly I will be talking about tools. And so I will be emphasizing the need for AI tools for rapid development. And my points here are the need for rapid development. I'll give you an example of rapid development using AI, and then implications for operations research practice and education. Okay. We are in a new world now. The internet has opened things up. People talk about global village. In some ways, my village, where I live, is the entire world. I can be living here in Austin, Texas, and my university is 2 hours away, and I teach from my home. I can be giving this talk in Nigeria, again, while I'm in the United States. I can simultaneously be an engineer with XRCOM and a faculty member and prosecute both jobs simultaneously. So, as I said, it's a new world we have. I do have long-standing interest in Nigeria. I think that technological development is the key to social and economic development. So I have done several workshops in Nigeria and in other African countries. These are the workshops I did last summer. Some of you may be here. I don't know. I hope to come back and see you again soon. And these are previous workshops. I've been giving workshops and classes in Africa for over 10 years now. All right, so let me launch into the topic of my talk, which is AI tools and algorithms. All right, so what do I mean by AI tools? So in AI, the tools are softwares, or software programs that enable the deployment of AI solutions. So you may be familiar with some of these, scikit-learn, TensorFlow, and PyTorch, but the mother of all tools is ChatGPT and other large language models like DeepSeek or Gemini, other models like this. This completely changes the game. It changes the way we do technology, changes the way we do education, changes the way that we live. And ChatGPT really is the driver for accelerated development. And I'll illustrate that with a test case here and during this talk. All right, so that's what software tools are. And again, in this talk, I'm going to focus especially on ChatGPT as a all-purpose tool for accelerated development. On the other hand, AI algorithms are adjustable procedures that learn from training data to interpret similar data. People really think that AI is a kind of magic. AI is not a kind of magic. It's simply algorithms with adjustable parameters. That's all that they are. They're typically used for classification and prediction. And some examples come from the field of statistics. Regression, deep learning, transformers. These examples are in increasing order of sophistication. But really, transformers, which drive the large language models, are in some sense just the children of the simple regression models that have been around for over 100 years and come from statistics. So the question is, how do we apply these two aspects to operations research, right? So we need accelerated development. Now, as I mentioned, we now have a global village. We also have a global marketplace. The global tech market is now open to all. At one time, it was not possible to do high-tech development in developing countries. Now, it's quite possible. All you need is a reliable internet connection, and the global market is open to you. Now, open market means open competition. I like to think of the economic market, global economic market, as the World Cup. The World Cup has teams from different countries, and the best team wins. The competition is a level playing floor. It doesn't matter if your country is big or small. It doesn't matter if your country is developed or not. It's the best team that wins. And the best team is the one that's fastest, the one that executes the best, the most skillful. Right? Now, the rapid pace of technological development means there's a huge first mover advantage. What does the first mover advantage mean? The first company in the marketplace, the first company to invent a new product, it gets an extremely large return from that. Now, if you think of examples of people who are first in the market, think about satellite. First in the market with satellite, Elon Musk, makes huge amounts of money. People like companies like Huawei, who were the first to develop 4G. Then these people get huge profits. So these big customers like Amazon, Amazon's a good example. These big customers will pay big money for developers, but they want good results fast. In this marketplace, the winner takes all. There's only one winner for the World Cup. So those who are in technology need to have this mindset that you are in a race, you are in a competition, you're in a worldwide competition, and you need to develop your skills better than others, or you will lose. Okay? All right, second place is second place. There's only one gets the win. Okay? Now, Nigeria is in a good position to take advantage of this. These are two headlines from recent publications. Nigeria was among the world's 10 fastest growing countries for software developers. So you do have a talent pool. Okay? So in Nigeria has 8 undersea cables with huge capacity. So I was in Nigeria last summer. That despite this high capacity, of course, you know the frankly poor nature of internet connectivity in Nigeria. So this is a challenge that you need to meet, but it's a necessary challenge to overcome if you are going to enter the worldwide tech market. Okay. Now, this is a simple example of how you can accelerate your development using, in particular, using ChatGPT. Right? So I have been working on a classical problem called the permutation flowchart problem. Some of you may be familiar with this, and this has applications to scheduling in manufacturing, scheduling in communications. So it's very widespread problem. And I wanted to accelerate the development of my talk. So I went to ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to make my slides for me. Right? So this is one aspect, is that you need to use these tools however you can to be as fast as you can. So the following slides were generated by ChatGPT, and of course I had to modify them. Artificial intelligence is not a replacement for human intelligence, it's an enhancement. So I took ChatGPT slides, I needed to understand them, I needed to go beyond what they were saying and understand the deeper content, and I needed to rearrange them. So this is what I asked ChatGPT. I need some PowerPoint slides that visually illustrate the permutation flowchart problem. The slides should include visuals that illustrate the problem and also demonstrate a solution method. I assume most people are familiar with ChatGPT, but let me just show you how this works. If I open my Chrome, and then I have a ChatGPT account here. So you are the one who types in the prompt, and then ChatGPT will give the response. So please, so if I just type here, please give me some PowerPoint slides that illustrate the permutation flow chart problem. Right. So this is what I typed in, and then ChatGPT gave me the answer. Some of you may not realize the power of ChatGPT, that you can paste in images. You can ask ChatGPT to create PowerPoint slides for you. So you see some of these slides that ChatGPT has created for me. And it will actually create a PowerPoint file. If you like, I will generate a ready-to-use PowerPoint file. I can say yes, and then it will give me the PowerPoint file here. Okay. So I do want to encourage educators to expect your students to use these tools, because you are educating them to enter the tech workforce. In the tech workforce, these tools are used all the time. We educators need to be teaching our students relevant skills. All right, so here's the PowerPoint presentation right here, right? So I have just done with ChatGPT 2 hours of work in less than 1 minute. Okay, so this is a tool that people need to be using to advantage. So these are the slides that ChatGPT gave me. It introduced the permutation flowchart problem. The permutation flowchart problem has to do with jobs processed in the same order across multiple machines. The goal is either to minimize make span, tardiness, or flow time, and it's common in manufacturing and assembly lines. The performance metrics for this problem, sometimes you want to minimize make span or flow time or weighted tardiness. Of course, you need to understand these technical terms. Since I have a brief talk, I'm not going to go deeply into the theory of flowchart problem. Now, when you illustrate a solution to the permutation flowchart problem, you usually use a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart will show you the progress of your schedule as it unfolds. Time is the horizontal dimension, and here M1, M2, M3 represent 3 different sequential machines on which the jobs are processed one by one. Right. So what ChatGPT gave me was this. It said this is an example of a Gantt chart for a permutation flowchart problem. In fact, ChatGPT was wrong. This is not a correct flowchart for a permutation flowchart problem. Those of you who are familiar with permutation flowchart know that if you're going to have jobs scheduled on machines, you have to schedule a job on the second machine after it finishes on the first machine. So I had to take what ChatGPT gave me and modify. Okay, so this is a more correct representation of a flow that's produced in a permutation flowchart problem. The other thing that ChatGPT did not understand was that it thought that all of the jobs had to have the same work time on each of the machines. That's not true. A job can have different work times on different machines. Okay? So here's an example of what I call the synergy between AI and human intelligence. There needs to be a conversation. There needs to be a discussion. All right, so ChatGPT also gave me an example of one heuristic solution. This is not an optimal solution, but it's a near optimal solution. And the idea is that you basically schedule jobs one by one. You start with a starting order. Then for the second job, in order to schedule the second job, you try to put it either before or after the existing job. And then you find the best option. Then for the third job, you have 3 different places where you can insert the third job, and then you try to evaluate which is the best. Now, it turns out that there is a best algorithm for the permutation flowchart problem in the case when you're trying to minimize the total make span. However, if you're trying to minimize something like lateness or tardiness, there is no exact solution. So you have to use heuristics. Now, this is a common heuristic. This is the standard heuristic, but it's limited. And the reason it's limited is that when you're scheduling partial jobs, it's not just the penalty that matters, it's the penalty and the make span. In fact, there are 2 criteria that should be used to evaluate intermediate solutions. So my idea was to use Pareto optimal. When you have more than one criterion for optimization, then you should use both criteria to determine the optimal solution. So this was my idea. This was not from ChatGPT. And I asked ChatGPT if someone had done this before, and ChatGPT said no. So I gave ChatGPT a specification for the algorithm that I wanted. Now, this is what I typed into ChatGPT, right? So I typed it into this window here, and so you can see it's quite a detailed specification. I had to think very clearly about what I wanted to do. And again, because this is a short talk, I can't really go into the details of this algorithm. But I did think about various implications. I said I wanted to use a variant of the NEH algorithm, which I showed on the previous slide. And then I discussed the modifications that I wanted to do. And then ChatGPT gave me code. I put this code into Python, and it works. However, you can't just accept what ChatGPT gives you. You need to be able to verify that it is solving the correct problem and validate that it does a good solution. So you compare with previous algorithms and so on. Okay. However, you can see that by this method of designing a specification and asking ChatGPT to generate the code, I probably saved 1 month's worth of work. Right? This is only a small part of the code. I think the code is 200 or 300 lines. Right? So the point I want to make is that this means that operations research and system analysts require a different skill set. The education that we have been doing for ORSAs is outmoded. The less important skills are rote knowledge of algorithms. We teach students algorithms. Okay. Now, in fact, algorithms are developed rapidly. There are hundreds of algorithms. ChatGPT can identify the best algorithms. What's more important than rote knowledge of algorithms is a steep learning curve. You need to be able to be exposed to a new algorithm and master it quickly. It's not important to become an expert in 1 or 2 algorithms. It's important to be able to take any algorithm and use it to your advantage. Now, you don't need detailed knowledge of the algorithm. You just need to know how it works. You need to know what makes it more or less computationally efficient. But I can say that this is something like with computers. At the beginning with computers, you needed to understand DOS, you needed to use the command prompt. Now we just have Windows to do all of this for us. The AI tools automate a great deal of the detailed work that we used to do ourselves, like paper and pencil calculations. You should, I strongly recommend that these calculations, you teach your students how to get AI to do these calculations for them and to verify the calculations. The reason I encourage this is that when the students go out into industry, that is what they will have to do to be competitive. You have one employee with pencil and paper, you have another employee with AI. The employee with AI is much more productive than the employee with pencil and paper. Right? So programming skills are also less important. I'm very happy about this because I'm a very bad programmer in C++. I'm not very good in Python. However, I can read a Python program and I can understand what it's doing. And I can also tweak it to make it more efficient. I can also understand if it's doing what I want it to do. But there are a lot of techniques for programming and various commands that I often forget. This now, fortunately, is not so important. What's more important is be able to write specifications and to verify and validate. So these more important skills are the ones that need to be emphasized in education and also in companies, right? So in fact, AI turns every ORSA into a manager. You are now not just an engineer, you're not just a systems analyst, you are a manager. Your employee is ChatGPT. Your employee is DeepSeek. That's your employee, and you need to learn to put your employee to good use. Right. Now, I think I'm out of time, so I just mentioned that AI is not just to find solutions to OR problems. AI gives algorithms that solve problems. Just briefly introduce this problem. This is a very difficult problem to optimize a consumption insurance investment strategy. Okay, so this is quite a complicated model. This describes a person who can use his finances to either invest or to consume, buy things, or to buy insurance. And the individual, of course, wants to optimize their portfolio, right? So it's quite an involved problem. You can see there are a lot of variables involved. And the classical methods of solution are very complicated. The mathematics is really beyond what I can even understand. Furthermore, these complicated solutions only work in special cases. They cannot work in a general realistic case. So instead of these complicated methods, we can use a neural network. And this is just a schematic that shows that we don't, all of this is a black box. We don't know exactly what it's doing. We don't understand the adjustment of parameters. But what we do is we give inputs, we generate training data and allow the algorithm itself to adjust to optimize the model. So that's my talk. Thanks for your attention and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Professor Tron. Meeting you once again. I want to believe we have been educated once again on AI. So please, we want to leave the floor for questions. If you have questions for Professor, he will be willing to respond to them. Hello, questions? Okay, while people are possibly thinking of the questions, I have the following questions for Prof. AI as a tool and algorithm, one, and then AI for rapid development. Now, is there a meeting point between AI, OR, and non-classification problems? That's the first question. The second one,
Okay.
Which I just done here, what possibly can we see as limitations of ChatGPT in solving problems as OR analyst?
Okay. Well, thanks for the questions. The first question was, what is the place of conventional classification algorithms versus AI algorithms? And I would say that typically what you want to do is use one of the classical algorithms as a baseline. Whenever you are solving a problem, you should always have a baseline to know whether your solution is an improvement or not. So certainly the classical methods can serve as a baseline. Now what I do also is, because the classical methods are well established, I will ask ChatGPT to create a classical model for me. So even when we use the standard standard classification, I will still ask ChatGPT to do the programming for me. Now, the second question was, what are the limitations of ChatGPT? And I mentioned some during the talk. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot depend on ChatGPT's answer. You cannot depend on its answer. You saw one of my slides, it gave me an incorrect answer. And I run across this all the time with my students. They think all that you need to do is ask ChatGPT. They don't even think about the answer, and then they submit it. No, you cannot do this. ChatGPT may misunderstand. You always need to have a dialogue. The other limitation of ChatGPT is ChatGPT cannot design the queries. If you saw what I did here, I need to be able to ask ChatGPT what to do. I was the one who came up with this specification. So you cannot expect ChatGPT to replace your overall understanding of the problem. I guess those are my answers.
Okay, Prof. Do we have questions? Okay, to what extent can someone who is using ChatGPT for modeling, what extent of programming skill can that person have? Because you wrote there that somebody must have programming skill. To what extent?
All right. Well, I used to teach a course in modeling, and originally when I started teaching this class, I would spend 6 to 8 weeks on Python programming. Now I spend less than 2 weeks because the programming skill that's needed is not the ability to write programs. It's only the ability to read programs. I did not write this code. In fact, I would be unable to write this code. However, I can read the code. I understand what it's doing. I can see that this is a function definition and that these are the input variables. I can see that these are loops. I can understand what the loops are doing. They're doing some algebraic operations. All right? So, and even the other benefit of ChatGPT is that ChatGPT is the best way to learn programming. ChatGPT will give you the program and the explanation. It will tell you what it's doing. So this is another area that I find students lack in, is that they simply take the program that ChatGPT gives them without reading the explanation. So in summary, what I would say is that ChatGPT is sufficient. However, you need to use ChatGPT to learn enough programming to use it effectively.
Thank you, Prof. Do we have questions again for Professor Trump? AI and overall. Any other question? Where's Dr. Adewoye?